Okay, so let's keep things moving forward here. It's 2:30 and I like to start this sharp. Can you please confirm that you can hear me well? Just a quick yes, we'll do it. Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Okay, so I hope that everybody is doing well. I hope that this first week back is working out for every one of you. As I said, I really missed to be in class, and this has been an interesting week back to class. So today is our second day from week 1. It's still a slow day, let's put it this way, because you will not be coding today. You will be basically talking about, and we can have a quick look at Centennial. And this is laid out there. If you go to week 1, today, last class, we had our introductions. We got to know a little bit of each other, amongst yourselves, about me, about you. Everybody got to know a little bit of everybody. Then today, what you're going to be doing is a high-level technical overview of some of the basic building blocks of web application development. We're going to have a discussion about what HTTP is. We're going to be going through an introduction to web development. We're going to be brushing through HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Again, not a deep course on those things, but we're just going to be talking about them in general, and I'll be providing some resources in case you need to sharpen your skills on HTML, on CSS, on JavaScript. Okay, so it will be a high level, but I'm going to ask you to do a few things. I'm going to ask you, our bonus 1 will be due today. Today, by 11:30 p.m., you have to submit your bonus 1. And you're going to see that it's not a big deal. It's quite simple. I will explain that in a second. Before I get to that, I want to ask you to fill out a quick survey. Survey to give me an understanding of what you know about HTML, CSS, C#, JavaScript. Do you know them? You don't know them? Because by knowing a little bit more of what you know and what you don't know, I can guide you better. I can have a better understanding of where you are and how can I best help you. There's a question here from Shivanji. Shivanji, did I miss anything bonus points? No, bonus will be today. So there will be a bonus that is based on today's discussion. And I'll explain that a little bit in a few minutes. But again, this will be due today by 11:30 p.m. But don't worry, it's just a simple bonus here, but I'll cover that in a second, okay? Hold that thought there. So, I want to get started by giving you this little survey, and I just want to confirm here, we are section 003, okay? So, I'm gonna paste this on both our chat, our group chat on Zoom, and on Padlet as well. Remember padlet.com/Ederson/comp229. So this is a background survey. Let's take just 4 minutes here to go through it. It's a simple one. You just have to give me an understanding from 1 to 5 whether you know those concepts, you know those things or not. Just want to have a highlight overview from object-oriented programming, C#, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, HTTP. We're going to be discussing about HTTP today. So tell me what you know. Tell me what you know. Tell me how comfortable are you with those topics. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to fill out the survey. Again, in the chat is the link on Padlet as well. Take 4 minutes and have a look for me on that survey. Okay, so let's have a look. I want to share the results with all of you. So, object-oriented programming. Well, it's good to know because you're going to be using classes, objects, you're going to be instantiating objects all the time here. So, I can see that about 60% of the class is okay. It has a good understanding about object-oriented programming, and this is very good. So a good portion here, about 90%, is comfortable with OOP, object-oriented programming. That's great. C#, very good as well. We have about 90% being comfortable with C#. Even though may not be able to explain or apply it very well, but C# is one of the key aspects of this course. So hopefully you had Comp 1, 2, 3 with me. If not, if you skip, if you are in the fast track, or if you had with another instructor, hopefully you have some basic understanding of C#. If you have a hard time with C#, I can provide you a hard time with the basics of C#. I can provide you with additional resources so you can catch up. Okay, let me know. Let me know throughout as we progress in the next few days. Let me know if you are having any difficulties with C# in particular. Okay, what else we have? We have HTML. HTML is a key component of web application development. If you want to become a full stack developer, you have to get to know backends. That's what you're going to be focusing a lot during this course. But front-end is also important. And a big piece of front-end is HTML. So for this course, we need some basic understanding of HTML. Okay, and I can see that a lot of people have some experience. And yeah, so I can see that a lot of people have experience. Today, I'll provide additional resources about HTML if you want to catch up on your tags. Okay, if you want to get to know a little bit more about HTML, if it's not very fresh in your mind there. But this course is not about HTML, okay? But we're gonna be using HTML. CSS, Cascade Style Sheet. So it's a way that you can make your pages look prettier. You can give color. You can provide standards. You can create definitions that will establish colors, sizes, position, how things will flow in the screen. So it's good to see that most of the class is, actually the entire class is quite familiar with that. Okay, so for those 30% here that cannot really recall or understand, as I mentioned with HTML, I'm gonna give additional resources that you can catch up with CSS. But I can tell you this, throughout this course, I'm not gonna be assessing whether or not you are a great designer, whether or not you have selected colors that make sense. I'm not gonna be assessing that. But you have to make sure that you add CSS to your application, because you need to know how to do that. Even though you may not be doing a great design job, but you need to understand how you can add that. How you can add CSS, CSS files, CSS references to your project. So we're gonna walk you through this. JavaScript. We're not gonna be doing much with JavaScript. We might be adding jQuery to your applications, and we might be adding a few tags, but we will not be coding on JavaScript at all during this course. Is it good to have a good understanding of JavaScript? Yes. If you want to be a full stack developer, JavaScript is a good part of that. A front-end framework like Angular, like Vue, like React is good to get to know. But this is not covered in this course. And if you ask me, do I need to know JavaScript for this course? Not really. We're going to be using something minor about JavaScript, but you still need to understand how you can add a JavaScript file to your project. So I can see that a lot of people are not familiar with JavaScript. That's fine. We're not going to be coding JavaScript. This is okay. And the last one here, we have HTTP. HTTP is the protocol that we're going to be using to transfer information to the server and back from the server. And we're going to be talking a lot about that throughout the day today. Okay? Today, I'll be hammering a lot request response. This entire course, it's all about a client requesting to a server responding to that client. It's all about that. So that is done via HTTP. And the first part of today, we're going to be talking about HTTP. Okay? Any questions in general? Anything that comes to mind?
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yes.
Sir, do we develop the web-based application or online or like or a simple website we will develop? What we will do, like what we will learn in this course, like basically?
This course is about web application development from a backend perspective. We're going to be doing a lot of backend coding. Okay? We're going to be using some basic JavaScript, some basic CSS, some basic HTML, because we have to produce an interface, but the focus of this course is on the backend side. So, you're usually going to hear things like, I'm a backend developer, I'm a front-end developer, I'm a full stack developer. This course will focus on making you a backend developer. There are other courses throughout your curriculum within Centennial that will give you front ends, okay? But this course in particular is focused on the backend. And the backend built with C# using an approach called MVC. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Awesome. Ritesh, was it Ritesh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ritesh. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. But I hope that this addresses your question. Okay, so let's get things going here, because we have a busy day ahead of us. So let's see the first. Thank you for the survey, by the way. So it helps me to get a better understanding of where you are. The first presentation is about HTTP. There are a lot of slides. I'm gonna skip through them. There are some content-heavy slides, and I don't want to bore you to death with a lot of slide content. We're gonna have some video as well, but I'm gonna focus on the main aspects that I would rather focus throughout this presentation. This is already available. This presentation is already available under eCentennial. If you go to week 1, so under week 1, you're gonna see week 1 HTTP, week 1 introduction to web development. This is the next slide that I will be working, and I'll get to the bonus in a second. Okay, so web application development, competition 9, week 1. Let's talk about HTTP. What is HTTP? Okay, so today we're going to be defining what HTTP is. We're going to be talking about the main components around HTTP, how it works, what it is not. Okay, and we're going to see that all the time we're going to be talking about response and request. It all starts with a request, and then you get a response. That's how our applications will work. Okay, the pair request response. A formal definition of HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, is a stateless application request response protocol What does it mean to be a stateless? What is stateless? Anyone has any understanding about stateless? What is this word? What does that mean? What do you understand about that? Stateless.
That means it has not any state, like active state or anything.
Okay, Sanchit, it does not remember anything. Yes, it doesn't have a memory. It does know what happened before or what will happen next. It does know that. Okay? But this is good. It does not remember anything. Let me give you an example. This is all about communication, okay? So when I talk to someone, when you are talking to a friend, and you say something, the other person will tell you, give you a response. Maybe you ask the question. The other person will give you a response for that. And maybe you have a second question based on what the person has answered. So you see, your communication with somebody else has state because you remember what you spoke before, what the person spoke now. Yes, Parwinder, request is executed independently. That's correct. But when we are talking to someone verbally, we remember what the person answered, and our conversation builds over time on top of the previous knowledge that we are building here. With HTTP, what we have is we have a stateless situation. Each communication, a request from a client to a server, doesn't remember anything from the previous request, doesn't know anything about the previous request. It's always about that communication alone. There is no before that for HTTP. Now, you may say, but Ederson, how come I go to Amazon and I can add items to my shopping cart and I can go through the checkout and it knows who I am, it knows that I have added 4 items, it knows that now I need to add the shipping address, now I need to add the credit card. How does it know that if this is stateless? Here's the thing. Stateless is HTTP, but it's not the application. Your application that's built on top of that. In the server, it has IDs that will remember, oh, this is Ederson, ID 1,000,001. And it knows, it stores the information. So the information is not stored in the HTTP protocol. It's stored in the server and a little bit in the client as well. The client has things like cookies. Cookies is a way, I don't know if anyone has heard about cookies. I mean, anyone knows what cookie is? Not talking about the cookie, the sweet cookie, but cookies in a browser. What is a cookie?
A tracker.
A tracker, yes. Privacy.
For this
Cookie,
session.
yes.
Store the information on the temporary on the client side.
Correct. It may store your ID. You know, when you are searching on Google or Amazon, and then all of a sudden, everywhere you go on the web, that kind of ads is hunting you, is showing for you, because it's storing information in a cookie. And then it knows that, oh, I looked for action movies, and now it's showing me action movies, DVDs everywhere I go. No, that's why, that's the cookie. So the point is this: the HTTP protocol is stateless. Okay. However, the information can be tracked in the client via cookies, in the server via a session. Okay. But the protocol itself, it's stateless. Okay. Yes, cookies, temporary data, Siron, that's fine. That's correct. Deepika, keep browsing data, correct. Keep browsing, keep the history of things that you are doing, you know? So be careful. Anyway, HTTP is the transmission protocol. Now.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Professor, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so just on this side. So I wanted to add to you about the cookies also. So nowadays, as I've been going through in the web, there is one more thing which is storing data on the client side, which is local storage, which has been in around for about many years now, but less people knows about that.
Got it. So you're talking about local databases?
No, yes, the local storage.
Local storage. Yep.
This
Got
other
it.
that which is in the browser. Do you know about it? Let me get you the link also.
Very good point. Very good point. Again, now we not only have cookies, but we have some additional capabilities in the clients, so the clients can be a little bit more robust, because cookies usually they are small little pieces and bits of information. Okay.
I just added a link.
Local storage. I get it. Got it. Thank for that, Jayton.
Just adding it. Makes sense.
Perfect. Perfect. So again, Jayton is sharing a link that shows that nowadays not only cookies are tracked on the client side, but also there is a local storage as well. And this makes applications to run faster by storing browser information and even saving data locally before it gets connected to a server. So when it gets connected to a server, that information can potentially be sent over as well. But think for that, Jayton. Okay, great. So here one more thing about HTTP that I like to describe as well. Let's go to this diagram. I like to think of HTTP. Let's compare the internet to highways. Okay, so the infrastructure of the internet, cables and wireless networks, you can think about them as highways. Okay, you have highways there. Then on those highways, we have trucks moving around. Okay, so those trucks moving around, you can think about those trucks as HTTP. HTTP is what runs in our highways, transferring packages from one place to another one. Okay, the truck doesn't care about what's inside. It cares that it's carrying a load of packages. Now, the packages inside the truck, those are the requests and the responses. Okay, so the truck doesn't care about what's going on inside of it. It just knows how to move packages from one place to another place, but it's not aware of what type of package is that one. The packages are things like requests and responses. Okay, so the package that goes inside of our HTTP can be a request package or a response package. And today we're going to be looking at what is the structure of that response and that request. Okay, this diagram here, this is your bonus one. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a second and explain you this in details. So bonus one, you're going to be reproducing this diagram. This diagram has 8 components: a client, a request, a server, a web application, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then it has a response. 8 components. Throughout the conversation today, the presentation today, I'll be talking about each one of those components. And on your side, you're going to be writing some notes about each one of those components. Then, actually, you can write them already under bonus one. So if you open this template, you can download this template, download it. I'm going to open it. And what you can do is, you're going to draw here under item 1, you're going to draw that diagram. Don't give me a print screen, please. Okay? You may want to draw that using Microsoft Word's tools. It has shapes and arrows. That's okay. Just don't get the snapshots because it's just too easy. But remember the components and then draft something. I don't care how ugly or how beautiful it is, to be quite honest. I just want you to remember the different components. So that's the first item here. Draw the diagram. Okay, so if we draw in a paper and add a picture, that's good. I love it. Siron, I love it. I like that. So if you want to draw, and if you want to take a shot and copy the image right here in the spot, that's fine. I like the suggestion actually. Okay, so that's fine. And then item number 2 here, I listed all 8 components. For each one, you're just gonna write beside it what you understood, some of the things that you gather from me talking here, but I'm interested in what you understood. So as we go through today, whenever I mention client and I talk a little bit about that, write a few notes there. It doesn't need to be extensive. You don't need to write pages and pages. It's enough to put this in one page. I just want you to remember something about each one of those items. What is it for? Maybe consider that. What is it for? Answer that question. Okay? And then at the very end, you save the document, the Word document, and you upload under bonus 01. Bonus 01 you can upload under assessments, assignments, and here is bonus 01. So you have until the end of today, by 11:30 p.m. today, to upload your bonus 01. I will be talking about bonus 02 before we finish the class, but bonus 02 is for next class. Okay, it's for you to upload before next class next week. But bonus 1 is for today, just to make sure that you wrote some notes about what we are talking here today. And pay attention, okay? Any questions about bonus 1? And by the way, I just want to highlight, bonus, I'm not flexible. If you did not upload by today at 11:30 p.m., it's gone. The bonus is gone. You can catch up with bonus 2, bonus 3, but don't come to me saying, oh, Ederson, can I still upload bonus 1? No, I'm giving you until the end of the day. It's not very hard, very simple thing that I'm asking you to do. You have until the end of the day today. Any questions about bonus 1? Okay, perfect. Great. So let's keep moving forward here. So this diagram, you're gonna see this diagram so many times that you're gonna be sick and tired of this diagram. This diagram will be imprinted in your brain because we will be using it quite a lot. Because this diagram summarizes what we'll be looking at during this course. We have a client that makes a request. The server will answer that via a web application. This web application will send back to the client things like HTML, CSS content, JavaScript content. What else? What other types of things the server will return back as a response? Can anyone tell me? What else beyond HTML, CSS, JavaScript? What else could be sent back?
Images can be sent.
Images, correct. Videos as well, that's correct. XML file data, yes, Shivanji. JSON files too. Okay, any type of file. Maybe there's a Word document that we are requesting. Maybe there's a PDF. Okay, so this response may have multiple types of files. Okay, great. In terms of clients, let's think a little bit about this. Which client am I talking about here? What is it that I'm talking about here in terms of clients?
Users, like the viewers at the website.
Browsers, yes, we're talking about browsers here. Okay, Chrome, Opera, very old one, Firefox, Edge, browsers. However, let's think about this for a second. Yes, this course will deal with browser clients, but let's think about other types of clients. Can you think about other types of clients? Anyone? Other types? Think about things that connect to the web.
APIs.
APIs. Some APIs will be our clients. Yes, an API can be client of a web application. That's fine. That works. Let's
And
think
other
about
servers.
other servers. Correct? Maybe a server communicates with another server to get some information. Yeah, this client here can be another server. SOAP APIs. Let's think about. So we are. It's all right, but there are things.
The
Protocols is more of the type of communication that goes on. But let's think about devices. What other devices are also connected to the web?
Mobile devices, wearable devices.
Mobile devices. It's broken, but it's still a smart watch. Okay. This little guy here. Google Chrome, Google Home.
Well, Echo.
Yeah, we have a request. This request may not be, mobile, laptop. This request may not be a request via a text request. It might be a voice request. You know? Well, even a voice, it gets translated to a text request. But yeah, devices. So again, the client can be a lot of different things. Can be a mobile app. A mobile app can be a client. It's not a browser. It's not a browser, but it's a client. It's a mobile app client. Okay. Now, for the sake of this course, we're going to be dealing with browser clients. Okay. We're not going to be dealing with APIs. We're going to be dealing with web applications. Okay. Okay. So we're still talking about HTTP. HTTP, again, is the truck that's carrying those packages, the requests and responses. Let's have a look at this video. If you have problems listening to the video from here, from my setup, I will give you the link in the chat so you can listen by yourself there. But in the last class, people were able to listen properly. I'm going to raise the volume a little bit. But again, if you have any problems, I'm going to share the link. And you just have to listen from this point until minute 6. So I'm going to open it here.
Let's do it.
I'm going to share the link. Sanjeev, a barcode scanner can be a client. If the barcode scanner is connecting to the web, it can be a client. It can be a client. If it's not a web. It's not going to be making requests and responses, to the web. It might connect locally to a local network. Okay, but it's a good example. Okay, so here's the link to this video. I'm going to share on the chat. I'm going to share as well on Padlet. And if you don't listen to it on my setup, you can listen by yourself. Okay, so let's take a few minutes to do that. Okay, I'm going to stop here. The rest of it, it's not that relevant, but this is just to give you a general overview of HTTP, okay? I see a question here in the chat. The question is from Andrew, and Andrew says, get, post, and delete are requests or responses? Who can tell me what is that? Yes, Sanchit says it's a request. Yes, they are requests, okay? And I will show you that in a second. I will be actually going to be performing.
Answer that question.
Yes.
As like when we get post delete, like we are just putting the request to the server and we are getting the response, then the work is done.
Correct. Correct. Good point. Good point. Awesome. So if we go back here, I think the next one. Yes. So how about we go now and we have a look at a real request. You can do the same thing if you are in front of your computer. I'm assuming most of you are. You can do the same thing as I'm going to do right now. You can examine. You can open Google and have a look at what's going on. What is the request that happened there? Let's have a look at that. Let's do that. I'm going to use Google Chrome as a browser. You can do that on any browser, but some of the steps that I'm going to take here are very specific to Chrome, okay? So I'm going to open my browser. I'm going to press F12. F12 will give me the developer tools of Chrome, okay? And one of those tools is the network. The network will show me every single request that I make to the server and what the server responded back, okay? So I'm going to refresh this so I can see a bunch of requests happening here. So let's just open this up a little bit more. I'm going just to say google.ca. Look, we start to see some, actually, let me reset here because I'm filtering CSS. Let's show everything. And I'm gonna clear this and I'm gonna try again, okay? So make sure that you select all so you can see all requests to all files, okay? So I'm gonna refresh this once again. If we scroll down the list of requests, the very first one is the one that I made by typing google.ca, okay? So here's the request. I can see on the right-hand side the header information. At first, we have general information. This is just like a summary of the information. It shows the request, URL, the address. Look at this. It shows that the request method was a GET because I was getting information from the server, from the site. It shows that the status code is 200. When the response came back to me, to the client, the response was a 200, which means everything was okay. It tells me the web address, but again, this is just the general information. How about we have a look at the specific header? First, which header comes first? The header from the request or the header from the response? Think about this for a second. Request or response comes first? Request. Because first I have to request, so I'm the one talking, the browser client is requesting the site, and then you get a response. Here you see first the response and then the request, okay? So don't get confused. The first one is the request, but here it shows the response and then the request. Let's have a look at the request here. Remember he said in the video what a header is? Little pieces of information. You have a name and a value, a name and a value, a name and a value. Authority, this is the website host. The method, it's a get method. I'm getting read-only information. It shows the scheme, HTTPS. What is this S here? This S stands for what?
Secure.
Secure, exactly. So pretty much all sites out there, the more current ones, they are all HTTPS. They are all secure websites. So one more piece of information that we get, that we send as part of our request header. And there are more, including, look at this. Remember this guy? Cookie. Including the cookie. Look how big is the cookie. Look at this. So much information here. Google knows a lot about us. And that's partially due to this information here. Okay? So cookie, look, this information was saved locally in my browser. And now when I request Google, this whole information gets sent to Google. That's why they are able to track us on the web. Not only Google, but Facebook and all kinds of websites. So a lot of information here under the cookie. Okay? Let's keep going here. We have a lot more information. We have the browser type that we're using. Our operating system. This is Windows 10. It shows that I'm using Chrome. Look at all this information that goes to the server. And then Google gets to know all about that. So this is our request, the initial request that we are making to google.ca. Now, let's collapse this. And then we have the response header. Look, we can see the details about what Google sent back to us. We can see, again, pairs of value and key. Sorry, key and value, key and value. Content encoding, BR, content length, what was the size of the file? Content type, this is a HTML file. The date that this was created, that this was produced on Google server. Okay, what else? The status code. Remember, 200 means all good, everything worked fine. How can I get this information? Samira, you can get, if you are using Google Chrome, you can press F12, or you can go to Settings, More Tools, and then Developer Tools. If you are using Google Chrome, okay? If you are using another browser, there are different ways on each browser. So you have to find, usually F12 will show you the developer environment of that browser, okay? Then, if you are using Google Chrome, you can go to the network and you can go to the very first request. You can just refresh, okay? Let me know if you are anyway stuck there, but that's how you go about looking at this information, okay? And again, if you have Chrome, you can all see that right now on your browsers. Okay, see what time. Okay, so let's part here before we go for a quick break. We were only talking about the header, but when we get information back from Google, we have the header, which is here. Header, think about the header as hidden information that as a user, I don't care, but the browser cares. However, the part that I care is the body of the message. The body of the response can be seen under response, which is a bunch of HTML codes, okay? So we have the header with the header information, and we have the body with the HTML of that page. That's what we see in the browser. That's what we visually see that. We see these codes parsed and translated to a beautiful interface, okay? Let's stop for now, 5 minutes, get some water, refresh there, and we'll be back in 5 minutes to carry on here, okay? 5 minutes. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Can I just have a quick yes if you can hear me well? Just to double check. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, great. So now you know how to have a look, examine the requests that you make to websites. Okay, now you know the trick. Let me tell you this. This tool here, Google Dev Tool, it's an awesome tool for web developers because you can track, you can see problems that might be happening with your JavaScript code. You can make changes to CSS and see how it looks like. It is a very, very powerful tool. You can do so much with these environments, but this is as far as you're gonna go with it for now, okay? So let's get back here to our presentation, and we are at this point. So we had a look at a simple message, okay? This is just an example. We just had a look at that. As I said, some slides, I'm not gonna be hammering or spending too much time with them. This is just showing the structure of a URI. URI is the generic term, it's a generic address format. A URL, which is the address of a page or a site, is a type of URI. URI can be an email address, can be an FTP address, can be any address related to the web, but in our case, we are concerned or looking for URLs. And here it just shows the general structure of a URL. Not gonna hammer too much on this one here. This is just saying that a message, the format of a message, typically you have a start line. The first part is the header. The second part is the body. Remember, when you are getting a response from Google, the first part of the message, and think about a message as a document. The first part is the header, the second part is the body. At the very top of the message, we have a start line. We have a line break between the header and the body, and then we have the body. Body is the HTML of that response, okay? So this is just showing you a few details about the message formats. Will I ask that in a test? No, I won't, okay? This is important. I like this one here. So there are many different types, as you saw in the video, many different types of requests. We're gonna be working mostly with two, a get and a post. A get is when you type a web address, centennialcollege.ca. You are performing a get, even though you don't even know about that. But the browser behind the scenes, it has a get in the method. Remember, we saw that in our Google example here. If you go back to the header, to the request header, look, the method is a get, okay? So we're working with those main two methods, get and post. Now, let me ask you this. Can you give me an example when we use a post on a website? The submit of a form. When we post data. So when we need to send data from the client to the server, maybe you are trying to log into Centennial College and you put your username, you put your password, you click the button. At that point, you are performing a post method, okay? So you're going to be working quite a lot with gets and posts. Quite a lot, really. I mean, if I can tell you something that's very important is that gets and posts, okay? The other ones, they do exist, but they are used less, let's put it this way. So let's focus on those two, okay? I'm not going to run through the video. The links are working in the PDF, so you can go through your PDF, you can have a look at those links, okay? But I'm gonna skip them. And let's jump a little bit here to status codes. Remember that in the video he said that 200 means successful, 300 means, well, he didn't say 300, but 400, there's a problem, 500, another type of problem. So we have the codes, the codes that come back from the server. The codes that start with 100, they are informational messages. To be quite honest, I've never seen one of those. If you see them, let me know. I want to take a picture. I have not seen them being used before, but they exist. I believe them. So 200, they are all okay. There are subcategories, as you can see, 202, 204, but all of them, they basically say that it was a successful request, or better yet, it was a successful response from the server, okay? And then we have 300s. 300s are redirections. You may think, actually, I would ask you, when do you see a redirection? What is the situation that you see a redirection? Anyone? Hyperlink. When the website you are... Go ahead.
For logging in.
For logging in. Okay. Okay. That can be. That can be. The way I would answer this is usually you see a redirection when a domain has been changed. My domain used to be solocoder, thesolocoder.com, and it became solocoder.com. So to redirect from the old domain to the new one, you can use a 301 redirection. 301s are supposed to work to tell the browser that, hey, this page is no longer located here, it's now located there. Maybe you renamed a page. It used to be called /departments, and now it's called /sectors. You may have a 301 from the departments page to the sections, to the sectors page. Okay? So it's just to tell that a change has happened here. Maybe the page moved, maybe the page was renamed, maybe the domain has changed. Okay? Let me see here, there are a few notes. So when the website is under construction. Okay, so under construction, it may or may not be a redirect, depends on how the administrator of the site set things up. Okay, when response time is more. Deepika, I don't know exactly what you're referring to. You're talking about slow times? Not necessarily, okay? A page might be just taking a little bit more time because it's loading a lot of information. So taking more time is not necessarily a sign of redirection, okay? Okay, then we have 400 errors. You may have seen them all over the place. 400 usually happens when you request a page that does not exist. You're gonna get a 400 because the page does exist. Or maybe you requested a page and you first need to log in to be able to have access to the page. Or maybe you are, again, usually not authorized. I mean, your request has characters in the URL that are not acceptable, okay? So you may get client-side errors. Your client is trying to access a page that doesn't exist. Okay, so 400 errors, they are common. Page no longer exists, yeah. If the page no longer exists, however, I would encourage that the person would configure a 301 redirect because, well, if the page no longer exists, that's fine. It's not that it moved, it's just not there anymore. That's fine. So yes, you're gonna get a 400. But there's another type of error. There is a 500 error. 500 means that the request went to the server, but in the server, something went wrong. Maybe the application failed to return the proper results. Maybe your code was broken and failed. You're gonna get a 500 error, okay? So 500 is when something in the server did not work properly. The request got to a point, but that request there in the server broke something, okay? Maybe your code failed, maybe there's a resource that is not available, okay? Great. As I said, I try to make this a little bit more interactive. So we're gonna start by looking at this tool called Nearpod. Nearpod is used throughout our course for us to work on quizzes. Usually I use this quite a lot with quizzes, but don't worry, this quiz is not graded. So it's just a little practice of what we have seen today so far, okay? So let's access nearpod.com, and here, actually I'm gonna share with you the link. You don't need to go to Nearpod, I'm gonna share the precise link that you have to type. So we're gonna do a bit of a review of HTTP. I'm going to launch a new live session. And I will share with you the link to this quiz. It's a 3 questions quiz. I'm sharing in the chat and I'm sharing on Padlet as well. So quiz. It's 3 questions, take a few minutes and just have a look at them. It's in the chat and it's on Padlet. In the meantime, I will take a quick attendance here. Okay, so let's take 4 minutes and I will take attendance as you go through it. As I call your name, just give me a high five, say yes or something there on the chat so I know that you are there, Okay, so Andrew Chung, Andrew, are you around? Yep, awesome. Ashik, Asmita, Deepika, Dharmik, Diraj, are you around? Felipe, Beraldo, Felipe, Gurnit, Hansel, yep, Hansel here, Gurnit here, Harry Zhu, Harry, Hossein Nahid, Hossein, perfect, Jangjit, yep, Jayton is there, John Benito, are you around? Yep, awesome. Okay, Mary Christine, Minu, Parwinder, Prablin, Raul, Rashikia, Ritesh, again, Raul, Rashikia, Samira, Sanshit, Sanjib, Sayed Alireza, okay, perfect. Shivansh, I saw you. Siran Sahota, Siran, okay, good. Siranjit, Sorab, Stephen, Siranjit there, okay. Theory Christine, Theory Kine, Stephen is there, okay, great. Theory, are you around? Okay, great, it's fine. Okay, so I think that we have enough answers already. Let's have a look, and I will activate here as well. Let's see. Okay, 3 questions here, 3 quick questions. The following are all parts of the HTTP messages, except which one? We have headers, we have, actually, let me scroll down the chat here. So again, which one? Which one is the correct? We have headers, we have a body. What is it that we don't have? Anyone in the chat? Footer. Yes, we don't have a footer in the messages. Okay? What is the name of the transport protocol used by HTTP? TCP. That's it. Okay, so TCP is in the pipeline. TCP is lower than HTTP. Application layer is HTTP. Number 3 here. What are the most common HTTP methods that we're going to be talking about a lot? The other one, they exist, but GET and POST are the most, let's put it this way, popular ones, okay? Submit that, and perfect. Okay, so status codes. Just to wrap things up, a few other links here for you to get more information about HTTP. To be quite honest, I'm not going to be asking questions HTTP. It's just to give you a bit of a foundation. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to move forward to the next part of the presentation, the next PowerPoint, which is the web application, the introduction to web application, okay? As I said, both PDFs are available on eCentennial. Let me quit this one here. And I'm going to load the other one. Okay, so this is a long PowerPoint. You can see here 6-7 slides. Am I going to go through the details of each one of those? No. But the idea is that we have a quick brush through in the next part of our class today, just through the main components of a web application development. This is where you can make a few notes to fill out your bonus number 1, okay? Make sure that you are writing this down. You write some stuff. You don't need to write a lot of stuff, just a few lines there, okay? So let me go into presentation mode. So, introduction to web development. I'm going to talk a little bit about Visual Studio, our IDE. What is the IDE? Anyone? IDE? Come on, integrated development environment. Yes, that's it. Okay, so our IDE is Visual Studio. You can use 2017, you can use 2019, either one will work fine. Okay, so what does it mean work with well-formed web pages? Can you give me an example of what could be a non-well-formed web page? What would that be? A non-well-formed, a well-formed, or maybe describe what do you think it is a well-formed page, web page. Compatible with all browsers. That's a good point. Yeah, that's correct. When you think structure is not well, when the structure is not well, what does it mean structure not well? Remember, you're gonna have a look at HTML a little bit, and you're gonna see that HTML is built with tags. Every tag has a closing part. So if by any chance you don't have a closing of a tag, the web page is not well formed. Correct, Sanchit? If we don't have a header, a head, a body, they are not well formed. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. This is not by any chance an extensive course on HTML, on CSS, nor on JavaScript. It's just a brush through that I'll be able to provide you with further resources if you want to go deeper or if you want to recap some of the things that you may have been missing. So we're gonna be talking about HTML, CSS. Okay, so Visual Studio, I have provided already a link, actually a PDF. Sorry, let me go here. A PDF under content, files. This PDF will walk you through how you can download Visual Studio. This document, it talks about downloading, let's see here, Microsoft Project, I think. Yeah, Project, Microsoft Project 2019. Again, just ignore the fact that it's looking for a project and type Visual Studio. You're gonna get the Ultimate Edition. Probably you're asking for version. If you are downloading this, get 2019. Get the 2019 version. There is no reason why get an older version. I don't even know if you can find older versions. You may, but get the most recent one. Okay. As you download, you're gonna be able to find the registration key. So every one of you, probably community. I don't know if you're asking or if you're affirming. I'm not sure if it will work with community. I think it does, but to be quite honest, I've never tried with community. The point is that you have access to the Ultimate Edition. Unless your computer, your laptop, your computer is not powerful enough that you don't want to use 2019, but even 2019 should work well. Anyway, try community. If by any chance you come across problems, you always have the option to download, or the other option is you can use this link that will point you to the virtual machine on Centennial. If you go to this link, I'll just go there quickly. Let me see if I remember. I think I may have to get to my login information. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, good, it worked. So if you come to this environment, you can select Autodesk 2017 or Autodesk 2017-1. This is in case you don't have Visual Studio, maybe your environment is not very fast, so you can use this remote computer. But in this remote computer, what you have there is Visual Studio 2017. It's okay. Okay, either way. Any question about that? Any question about, oh, by the way, Mac as well. This course, you should be able to run it with a Mac. You don't need to have a Windows. Now, the only detail is that in a Mac, when we get to database, you're going to be using SQLite. On Windows, you're going to be using SQL Server, a simpler version of SQL Server. That's the only difference. But students on previous semesters, they have been able to use Macs without problem. Okay? Again, any questions about Visual Studio? Good luck there, Christine. I know that you are into Macs. Okay, so Visual Studio is our IDE. This is where you're gonna get it. I just show you that as well. As I said, this is a very heavy content slide deck, okay? I'm gonna brush through some of those. I'm gonna skip most of them, and I'm gonna go to the most important points as we go along here, okay? So, very soon, actually, on your bonus 2, you're gonna be already using Visual Studio. I will talk about bonus 2 when we have 5 minutes before our time today, okay? So, web development. So, we are just introducing that. So, at some point, web was just about having documents out there. And the reason why hypertext is in the HTTP is because documents were only a way to reach other documents, to have links pointing to final documents. That's what it used to be. Now, web started to become a little bit more colorful, a little bit more pleasant with the addition of things like CSS and with the interactions that can be created by using JavaScript. So browsers started to become more powerful. We start to be able to run client-side codes in the browser. And we had JavaScript, and we still have JavaScript, and we have now many JavaScript frameworks that makes it even more powerful to work on the client side. Okay? What else we have here? So, a little bit more of a history. Before 2002, there used to be classic ASP. .ASP code, done by Microsoft. Very spaghetti-like, very confusing, mixing HTML with scripting code. Then, by 2002, .NET came up. And all of a sudden, we were able to use controls like what you saw on Comp 123. We were able to use buttons and text boxes and all kinds of visual controls. That worked well for a bit, but not for long. Because with that rich interface, what we used to have a very heavy page. There used to be this thing called view state that was very big and very heavy if you used too many controls on your web application. Okay. Then, a few years after that, after 2002, again, all good with web development there, but there was a better way. A better way was created, a way that you could use less HTML, that you could have smaller pages with a smaller footprint. And that's what became .NET Core. Okay, so before we had .NET, now we have .NET Core. Before we have ASP.NET, now we have ASP.NET Core. Core, when you see the word core, usually it will mean that it's faster, it has less codes, it's more modern, okay? And that's what we're gonna be going through during this course here. We're gonna be focused on .NET Core using MVC. And MVC, I'll talk about MVC in the next class, but .NET Core, that's what we're gonna be focusing today. .NET Core is what is the top of the wave technology-wise in terms of coding with Microsoft technologies, okay? And by the way, a lot of what you're going to be seeing during this course, you will be able to apply to other languages as well, to other programming languages as well. We're going to be talking about MVC here. MVC is an approach to web application development that can be used on other languages as well, on PHP, on Ruby, on all kinds of, on Java as well, okay? So, again, a little bit of story, of history here. Okay, so Sanchit, can you please elaborate on the difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework? Okay, so .NET Framework is what used to be, that started back in 2002, and it's still maintained, it's still running, but it's been, let's put it this way, put aside for .NET Core. I can tell you a few things. First is that .NET Framework, the older one, only runs on Windows. You don't run that on Linux. You don't run that on other environments. Ubuntu, you don't run that on other OSs. Okay? However, .NET Core you can run, because .NET Core does not depend on the Windows environment, on the Windows libraries to function. .NET Framework, it does depend. .NET Core, it does not. That's the reason why .NET Core can run on, I would say, most of the OSs, if not all of them, on Macs, on Linux, on Ubuntu, and most likely more than that. So that's the big difference. That is the major difference. It becomes now portable. Your application can run now in a Linux environment. A few years ago, .NET Framework, you can only run on Windows. That's one difference, a big difference. I would say the second one is that .NET, the .NET Framework, the older one, it used to build heavier interfaces that had a lot of excessive verbose HTML. The pages were big, huge, okay? However, with .NET Core, those pages became very small. As developers, we have now absolute control over what HTML gets created, gets produced there. With .NET Framework before, we don't have that much control. So, again, hopefully that can give you a good overview. Sanchit, let me know. Okay, you mean that we can deploy .NET Core builds apps on Linux server, which was not possible? Yes, that's correct. On Linux environment, it was not possible before because .NET Framework used to, the original one, was dependent on Windows libraries, which is no longer the case with .NET Core. Okay, that's the biggest difference, to be quite honest. Awesome. Okay. So moving forward here, a lot of, awesome, Sanjeeb, very good. A lot of history here. I'm not gonna go through a lot of history. Just talking about how the World Wide Web came about, hyperlinks, and then we discussed this a little bit, URLs and URIs. URL is a type of a URI. URL is the address for a web page, okay? URI can be the address of a web page, can be the email address, can be the FTP address, okay? Then talks a little bit about websites, web browser. as I said, you're gonna hear this a lot. Requests and responses. A request is made from a client to a web server, and then that web server will respond to that request, okay? So when you type google.ca, it's going to Google's server, and you're gonna get a response. Okay, we're talking about, again, the request response part, okay? That the server is responsible to perform, to receive that request, send that request to the appropriate application, and that's what we're gonna be building. We will be building this class, in this course, web applications right here that the server will receive. Usually the server, we are talking about something called IIS. Can anyone tell me what IIS is? What is that? Yes, Dermik. IIS is the web server application. It's an application running in this computer that keeps listening in the port. The port, think about ports as the address in a building. So IIS keeps listening. Okay, is there any requests on port 80 for centennialcollege.ca? Oh, there's a request here. Okay, so which site is supposed to answer that? Centennialcollege.ca. Give it to that site. That site has a web application which will perform something with that request, and it will give back a response which the server sends back to the client. Okay, so we're gonna be receiving requests, creating response with our web application. Just a little bit about the browsers, the different browsers. Again, this is basic stuff. We have discussed a little bit about clients already. We have discussed the fact that there are different clients, types of clients, but our clients, the clients that we're going to be dealing with, are browser-based clients. Okay? Again, look, those points are things that are going to all help you to put together your bonus one. Keep this in mind. Okay, so again, more of history here. You don't want to go back to the dinosaur ages like 93. Let's see. Something to highlight here. Open source. .NET Core is open source. Microsoft has changed a lot in the last few years, and a lot of its core base, like .NET Core, is open. If you want, you can download the code for .NET Core. I don't recommend you to do that. You don't need to do that because, you know, let them deal with that. But you could because it's open source now. And we discussed about HTTP, host. You're going to hear this terminology. It's possible that you're going to hear this terminology called host. Host is the server. It's a computer that answers the request. Okay? And usually those servers, we have a domain name pointing to them. So instead of calling an IP address, because it's harder to memorize, that's why we have domain names. It's easier to memorize, and we don't have to memorize an IP address to call. So we use the name of the domain instead of the IP address. Okay, so Andrew is asking, what is the difference between the web application and the web server? Okay, so let me step back here for a second. Web application, web server. Okay, let's see the full, where is the diagram? Okay, let's use this one here. So the web server is the computer. The computer that is there, that is a server computer, but it's the hardware there. The web application is an application, a program that is running on that server that's gonna answer to the requests that come in. Now, you may ask, what is the web server application? Because there is a web server application here. So the web server application, in our case, we're gonna be using IIS, Internet Information Service, which is the web server of Microsoft. The web server, you can think about it as a traffic controller. I think it's a good way to put it. So, as a traffic controller, the web server application is just seeing, oh, here's a request. Who's that request is supposed to go to? Oh, it's supposed to go to centennialcollege.ca. So Centennial College, get it. So the traffic guy is saying, okay, this plane that is coming is going to gate number 10. So go to gate number 10. This request that is coming should go to centennialcollege.ca. Okay, so here is centennialcollege.ca. Here's your request. So the web server application is just a traffic controller. It's receiving, it's listening, receiving requests, sending to the appropriate web application. The web application will process the request, will formulate a response, will give it back to the web server. The web server will send this back to the client. So the web server is in front receiving and is in front sending the response back. That's what it does. It does not know the logic, what needs to happen. The logic is in the web application. Andrew, does it make sense? That's a question for you. Okay, Sanjit, thank you for explaining that. Sanjit says, mostly all products of Microsoft is paid. It's good that this is now open source. Andrew, web server is a type of server. The other type is web application server. Yeah, so again, server is the hardware. Web server is the web server is the hardware as well. You can say web server application, which is, again, IIS. That is the traffic controller. Okay, great. Okay, so let's move here forward. And I'm just gonna, so this is just a little diagram of how the URLs are broken down. You have the protocol. Most of them are now HTTPS, S from secure. You have the domain name. And again, this is a very old format. We're gonna be using a slightly different format, a slightly different description during our MVC development, okay? But traditionally, you had directories and you had files. In our case, things will be slightly different, but the general structure is still that one. Okay, and again, more about TCP. And we are working, as you saw in the video, we are working a client-server architecture. We have a client making requests. We have the server providing the response. Okay. Our focus is on the server, the back end of the server. To be a full stack developer, you need to know how to code in the front end as well. Our front end will be very minimal for this course. Our focus will be really in the back end. And just describing the client and the server, and the fact that, again, some things here are just conceptual things I don't want to hammer. Now, I'll briefly now mention a little bit about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, okay? Again, no intention to be an extensive course because we cannot do that in 13 minutes, okay? But just to mention, HTML is a markup language. Markup that we have tags structuring the content. We have opening tags, closing tags, okay? This is one of the components that come back from the server as a response. Okay, we saw that in our response body. HTML comes in the body of the response. Okay. Basics of HTML, we have opening tags, closing tags. If we have a look at our Google example, let's see if it's still open here. It is. If I right click and I click on inspect, we see the page here. We see the different tags. We see the opening, the closing tag. That's what it's talking about. This is how it's formatted. At a very high level, it starts with a doc type. Then it comes to the root element of our document, of our HTML document, which is the HTML. element. Inside the HTML, we have the head, we have the body, and inside of each one of them, we have more and more tags. So it's a tag inside a tag inside a tag. Some tags, they have content. Some tags, they open and close very quickly. They don't have content. Okay. So in HTML, we have elements. As I said, we have tags. Some tags, they have content. Some tags, they don't have elements. They are empty tags, like the line break or the horizontal line. Here's just a brief summary of a few tags that we have available. Some of them are not even that used anymore, like B or I, but we have the HTML, we have the head tag. You can have a look at this video on your own. I'm not going to play it right now. But as I mentioned, we have the root element, which is the HTML element. I showed that there. We have the head. Inside the head, we have title. We have meta description. Let's just have a quick look here. Inside the heads, we have title. We have meta descriptions. We have scripts. And then we have the body of the documents. If you have a look there, we have the head and we have the body. And then when the browser receives this HTML document, what happens is that it parses, it performs the rendering of this document, and then it's able to display nicely for us. Okay? Tags as well, they have attributes. They have this, and here we have a few attributes here. For example, the body has this class attribute, this ID attribute, and the value. Those are attributes. You have the attribute and the value. The attribute and the value. Just some examples of basic HTML paragraphs, line breaks, and then I want to leave you, if you don't know much about HTML, you may want to take this crash course. This link is active and it's working. It's going to point to a 1-hour course on YouTube, a free 1-hour course that will be, I would say, a crash course on HTML. If you want to freshen up your HTML knowledge, we don't need a lot here. We just need some basic tables, paragraphs, basic body. But if you are finding it hard to understand, or if you don't know anything about HTML, you may want to review this link here. It's available on the PDF that I have uploaded on this Centennial week 1. Okay, so you can go there. CSS, I'm just gonna take a few minutes here to describe a little bit about CSS. CSS is another type of file that has a different structure as compared to HTML, which will help us make our pages looking more professional, looking more beautiful. Okay, so it's called CSS Cascading Style Sheets. It's a bunch of definitions of things like sizes, colors, fonts, okay? And it is this little component here. If we have a look again at Google, we can see a bunch of CSS there. Look, all of this is CSS that is associated with the body of our document. We have definitions here of the height, of margins, of font, okay? So this is what it looks like, a CSS file. Do I need to know a lot about CSS for this course? No, but just some basic concepts. How you put together a class definition. Very simple, okay? So get to know a little bit of this. The definitions, they have this structure of property and value. Look, we have property background, value. This is the color of the background. We have property font size, value. We have small. We can have large, medium, smaller. We can have a number here, 10 pixels, okay? So it has this pair of value and, sorry, of property name and value, okay? Then this is just saying that we have different types of style sheets. We can have inline style sheets when the style sheet is defined inside the HTML, not ideal. Ideally, we have style sheets externally in external files. We will see that once we are practicing, but usually they have the extension of .css. Okay? As I did with HTML, there's a crash course here for CSS and hour long as well. You don't have to go through this, but this as well, if you want to get your head around a little bit more about CSS, you may want to have a look at that, okay? JavaScript, to be quite honest, I'm not going to go through JavaScript because our JavaScript need is very, very minimal. So it's not even worth going through it right now. Yeah, it's just one more component of the things that come back from the server to the client. Okay, and yeah, it's a programming language. Right now it's very popular because you can now, by using Node, you can actually program a JavaScript in the server side as well. I'm getting the internet connection unstable. Just confirming if you can still hear me. Stuck. Sanjeeb, stuck there. What does it mean? Okay, good. So yeah, I had a little message here. Okay, so JavaScript again. I'm not gonna go deep on that. This we're gonna really get started next week, but this will be a segue for your bonus number 2. Bonus number 2 is due before the beginning of next class next week. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go here to eCentennial. If you look at week 1, you can download the second template, the second document, bonus number 2. Under bonus number 2, I'm asking, remember I said that I use a flipped classroom environment. In a flipped classroom, you're gonna come to the next class knowing already some basic information about the content that I'll be covering next week. That's what bonus 2 is about. So if you have a look, bonus number 2 is due before the beginning of the first class of week 2. So again, whenever is our next class next week, this is due before that class gets started. What you're gonna have to do? Well, here it is. You're gonna have to watch and practice, not just watch, but you have to give it a try. Those 2 videos together, they might be around 20 minutes long. So both videos will demonstrate how to start to put together your first MVC project on Visual Studio. It's my recording. I show you step by step on how to put the first project, MVC project, together. You're gonna follow video 1, you're gonna follow video 2. Based on those videos, you're gonna ask me 3 questions. You may say, Ederson, what if I don't have questions? Well, ask for clarifications. I want more information about this point or that point, but be specific. So, watch 2 videos, practice them, write down 3 questions as you go along, upload this as bonus 2 before the beginning of the class next week. That's what instructions 3 says, You have to upload this under bonus number 2. One question, Samira, what if you just have one question? Is that what you're saying? I'm assuming so. That's fine, but let me tell you this. After going through both those videos, you're gonna have more than one question. I'm quite sure. Because it's brand new content for you. I strongly doubt that you're gonna have just one question. So try hard to make sure that you ask, not answer, but you just have to ask 3 questions. I'm gonna open those questions next class, and I'm gonna be addressing your questions during the class. Can we do only point 3? Well, you can try, Sanchit. Let's see. Let's see if I open yours. Now, I'm gonna have a look at whatever you upload there, okay, Sanchit? No, you just brought me to pay attention to what you're doing there. Okay, everyone, any questions? We are coming towards the end here. Anything else before we say our goodbyes? Remember bonus one before 11:30 tonight. Okay? Remember that. I wish you all a great weekend. Enjoy the weather. The weather is quite good. Minor. It's not minor, sorry. It's mild. Mild. It's not as hot as last weekend, but it's good. So go around. It's raining, yeah. Oh, okay. Stay home. I mean, you're used to stay home. I'll go out a little bit. So everyone, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all next week. Make sure that if you have any questions, reach out to me via email. I've been already answering some of your emails as well. So again, have a great, awesome weekend. Enjoy, have fun. See you next week. Bye now.